Okay, so today I am working on Fred and his balance with his rhythm and just trying to help him as he deals with all the things jumping out in the woods. Trying to help him just learn how to carry himself. We went through a season where I didn't have a ton of help and he got pretty tight in the neck and in the back. And so what I will be working on today is just lengthening his neck and really getting him to have self-carriage. One thing you'll notice about Fred is that he's very buddy sour, and we do work with it, but he always deals with, as he's going towards the barn, which is towards the right side of the screen, he'll increase his tempo, and then when he is heading away, he'll slow down. And so my job is to, as I'm riding him, just help him balance, even though I know that that's what it is. But in order to keep the exercises going, I've just got to let him find his balance. But so Fred really needs to stretch out. He tends to also curl behind the bit. So when I'm starting, I'm really trying, as you can tell, like right here, he's speeding up. So what I do is I circle. And one thing that I suggest for other riders when their horses are just, can't maintain a rhythm and they're kind of thrown all over the place, instead of pulling on their face, just turn them in a circle away from the direction they want to go and put pressure on. And then when they kind of start to relax, then you just try to get into an even rhythm with them. So it just kind of shows them, like, if they want to speed up, there's going to be more pressure, and then they're going to be sent away from the direction. And then when they relax, they can start to come back through. So right here, what I'm just trying to do is trying to get him to lengthen his top line, trying to get started in a rhythm, because he can get so curled up. I'm really just trying to keep him stretched out, even though at times he's unbalanced, because he's got to learn that he can balance back on his haunches, and that's going to be something that he's going to have to be able to do, but it's going to take time. And if you find yourself getting frustrated with your horses, just remember that they're having to carry your weight on their back, which is the weakest part of their body, and rocking back on their haunches is hard. And so our job as the rider is to just try to stay out of their way, and without pulling, help them carry themselves and stretch through their top line, which is increasing their strength. So right here, he's speeding up, and I'm about to start the Cavaletti exercise. So then he slows down into a better tempo, and then I can kind of put my leg on to kind of start sending him forward and then having him push from behind. So I'm about to start the Cavaletti exercise, and he goes through, and the first time he's going to kind of fiddle with the poles because he's not really paying attention. And then soon afterwards, I develop a canter, and then I follow him in the canter up to the top of the hill. And I've tried to be better about half halting before this turn to help him balance, and then half halting through the turn with my seat to really just help him rock back without pulling on his face. And if you can tell right here, he didn't quite come back to me. So instead of pulling on his face, I'm just going to give him a little bit more time. And he's a little fast. He lost his balance again. So he goes into the canter, not a problem. I just follow him, help him gather his balance, soften, and he's going a little fast. So I really just try to let him use his neck while half halting, but he can't always get it back. It takes him a while. So we just continue through the exercise, go back through the poles, and off in canter we go. And the key here is just allowing him to canter forward. I'm trying to get him to lengthen his neck and keep his nose in front of the vertical, which I really don't want him to curl because that's an evasion. So I want him to keep his nose in front of the vertical. I'm trying to stay quiet with my seat, my inside leg at the girth, my outside leg behind the girth, and then half halting him before the poles. And through the poles he goes. And then there he lost his balance, and I fell in right before. That was my mistake. So he just brought him back, And I'm going to ask for the canter again on about a 15-meter circle. And sometimes that can happen with this exercise as they start anticipating, they know when they're going to turn, and so they kind of fall in. And if me as the rider, if I don't help him, then he's going to go off on the wrong lead. So what I probably should have done there when he was careening through is just kept him straight a little longer and then maybe asked him for a shoulder in. And then he would have been more balanced and given me the correct canter. So here he's not coming. He's kind of going through the turn. I knew he wasn't going to listen. And it would have been not a good transition. So I gave him a little bit more time, which is not a problem. They don't know. Really, the key is giving them a positive experience through the exercise. So there, my hands are soft. Through the Cavaletti he goes. And again, I gave him 2 bad rides there. So picked up the other canter pretty quickly. Nice 10-meter circle. And then we're going to go back. So as we're cantering, again, it's important to have the inside leg at the girth, outside leg behind the girth to keep them going. That's also going to help your inside hip bone press against them so that they can maintain the bend and raise your outside hip bone. That was a really nice transition down. He came back. So I said, okay, we can go through the Cavaletti again. And there he was just nice and soft and forward, and great transition up. Nope. Wrong lead again. So get the correct lead, and then off he goes. So that's something I'm going to be working on the next couple of days, is really working on half halting and doing some shoulder in. You know, this exercise, he's done it for a couple of days in a row because I've really enjoyed just him getting loose in the back and working through his back. But now I'm finding, okay, maybe we need to go back and now we can work more on some half halt exercises and some shoulder in exercises to really work on the strength of that inside hind leg. And that's why these gymnastic exercises are so good, because they really help him in ways, but then they also help you see, okay, this is the next thing that we can work on. So that transition down, I really liked it because he just really stretched down over his back. Fred likes to scratch his face after he's worked hard. He thinks he's deserved it. So I'm going to give him a little walk break, and then I'm going to let him get back to work. So during our walk breaks, it's important too that they continue to work, that, you know, if you allow them to just walk around with their head up in the air, they're going to lose concentration. And I'm not putting him in a frame, but I am asking him to continue to come from behind, to stretch through his back, stretch into the bit, so that he keeps building up that top line. The walk is one of the easiest gaits to ruin. So if you continue to walk them around in a frame and they don't have freedom through the back, then that can really be detrimental to the gait. But we definitely need to give them a lot of walk breaks, let the oxygen come back through the muscles. But at the same time, we need to help them remember that, okay, you're still working, there's still a job to do. And so that it doesn't take you twice as long to get their mind mentally back. And maybe some horses come back in the game easily. Fred's a pretty good dude, but like I said, he is pretty buddy sour, and he does better if he's constantly given something to do. And so I don't let him, unless we're on a hack. And even then, I'll still kind of keep it under wraps, but I don't just let him wander aimlessly, because generally he'll be trying to focus on everything but the rider and but me. So we're going to get ready to get going on the right rein. So it's important with your exercises to do both reins. Fred tends to do better on the right. The left side was his more difficult side. So he does tend to do better to the right. So we started with the more difficult rein, and sometimes I switch it, but we're going to end hopefully on a better note on the right rein. So he comes through pretty easy, and then nice transition to the canter. Again, inside leg at the girth, outside leg behind the girth. This turn is something that I am constantly challenged with. He is always leaning towards the barn. And so if I'm coming through the turn initially and he's not paying attention, instead of ripping his face off, I just make him do another circle, and then I just prepare a little sooner the second time. Because what I don't want him to do is I don't want him to pop his shoulder and then come in crooked to the poles. And so I'd make him, we tend to do a couple extra circles because Fred can just kind of, he'll be coming through that turn, and every single time he's looking for his buddies back at the barn. And then I have to make him do an extra circle just to try to get him back to me. So I'm always trying to sit back, use my outside leg to bring him around, half halt through the turn. And again, I couldn't seem to make that turn where I wanted. So I'm trying to make extra half halts through the turn here to help him come back and to make the transition so that he can be straight on the line. And he goes through, is a little quick, and I didn't catch that, and that's why he picked up the right lead, or the correct lead. So because of that, I'm just going to do a circle, try to get him balanced before he goes straight. So a horse, if they start being in an imbalanced canter, the circles really help them to balance. And then once he's balanced, then I'll allow him to go down the straight line. Circles are your friend. They help the hind leg get under the body because the barrel gets out of the way. And it helps to develop the strength that they need to carry themselves balanced on a straight line. So a really nice transition down. He came back to me nice, went through those really well. Sit, and I didn't want to rush the transition again, so that's why I wanted him to come back. I gave him a nice half halt, and then so he's prepared for the canter when I ask him. And again, they don't know the exercise. They don't know that you want them to canter at there. And so if it's not a good at that first turn, so if the horse isn't balanced, then give them a little extra time so they have a good transition. And even I make that mistake where I'm too rushed, where I'm trying to hit it at a point that I'll sacrifice a horse's balance to get the job done, and it doesn't always end up in my favor. So as you can tell, as he's going through this exercise, Fred he's getting a lot more balance. He's getting a lot more comfortable. He's getting a lot more relaxed, which is another great aspect of this particular Cavaletti exercise. And so he's listening to my half halts coming back, and each downward transition, those are our struggle when he goes from the canter to the trot. He's just transitioning down into a very balanced trot, which I can tell is giving him confidence as we continue through. So right here, I'm just going to finish up on just a little trotting, trying to get him to stretch more down through his top line is a nice way to finish for this exercise. So I hope this helped. I highly recommend you do this at least once a week. We've been doing it a lot recently just because it's so good and the horses seem to enjoy it. We're going to bring in some new exercises, but it just helps them gain a lot of strength, helps them relax through the transition. And then they start to, I think, gain a lot of confidence through that. If y'all have any questions, please send them my way, and I'll try to post new exercises here each week. And y'all have a great day. Bye.